I was driving home on an empty highway when I saw hazard lights flashing rapidly ahead of me. A woman was waving desperately and pointing into her back seat. I pulled over and the woman screamed her daughter was seizing. Being a medic, I rushed to help, but when I looked, the girl wasn't seizing at all. She was tied up with duct tape and her eyes were pleading. I froze and went to dial 911, but as I was about to call, I felt a knife dig into my side. My phone slipped from my hands and the woman shoved me into the passenger seat, but she didn't notice that when my phone slipped, it landed in my jacket pocket. The 911 call connected and the woman started driving without noticing. She held the knife against me and I asked loudly, "Why are you kidnapping us?" so the dispatcher would understand the situation and stay silent and just listen. I kept talking, asking why we're going past Route 14 North, why we're taking this specific exit, and prayed she wouldn't catch on. But there was something else on my mind. Why would a kidnapper who already had a girl kidnapped flag down a second stranger and kidnap them too? I turned around to look closer at the tied-up girl, but when I did, I felt something in my pocket shift. I realized it was a scalpel from my hospital shift. I reached over like I was adjusting my seatbelt and secretly dropped the scalpel toward the girl, praying she'd realize, but the woman noticed. She angrily asked, "What are you doing?" And that's when her eyes caught the glow of the 911 call from my pocket. She pulled out my phone, and when she saw the 911 call had been connected for over 8 minutes, her face went red. She slammed her wheel and said, "I didn't want to have to do this," then started speeding. My heart was racing, thinking we were going to die, and when I looked over, the girl hadn't done anything with the scalpel. The woman pulled off the highway and into a diner parking lot. Before I could ask why we were here, I noticed a man was already waiting outside. He walked over, opened the back seat, and pulled the tied-up girl out, shoving her into the trunk. Then he pulled me out, and he and the woman took me inside the diner, telling me to act normal. We sat and ordered food, while the woman kept the knife pressed into my thigh under the table. I was trying not to shake when the man pulled out a folder. They knew my grandfather had left me an inheritance worth millions, and I needed to sign it over to them right now. I nervously shook my head, and the man just looked at me. He stood up, walked outside, then opened the trunk and fiddled around inside it. A minute later, he came back and held his phone up with a photo. He'd strapped a bomb to the girl and held up a remote. "You have 5 minutes before I press the button." I tried to reason, begging them to stop, but the woman just pressed the knife harder. I looked around and nobody was noticing a thing. At 4 minutes, I told them I'd sign over a portion. They said no. The timer kept going, and when it hit 1 minute, I signed. Money wasn't worth a human life. The man picked up the documents and smiled. "Thank you." Then his face went cold. "But you're witnesses now. We can't leave you alive." He clicked the button and the car exploded. I screamed. The windows of the diner shook and everyone rushed to the front to see what happened. That's when the woman grabbed my arm, and while everyone was crowding the front, they started to drag me to the back exit. I fought because I knew if we went through that back door, I was dead, but they were stronger. They shoved it open and I closed my eyes. But instead of darkness, I saw lights, police officers with guns drawn, and in the middle was the girl from the trunk. Holding the scalpel I dropped for her.